Welcome back, my fellow agents. Now, I know many of you of a certain vintage think of a certain movie set a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away when you hear that wonderful fanfare, but not today. We're going to the final unexplored frontier on this planet. Sing it, Frankie.
Come with me. Come with me on a voyage to the bottom of the sea.
All right. And there's no real way to start it any better than that. And while Frankie's singing, this is X7, your aquatic agent of Aquatic Awesome. Not a lot of A's to alliterate there with, but that worked. X7 here, also the host of Zenorama, the podcast of heroes and monsters. Today we will be looking at 1961's Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea, starring all of these wonderful people and not playing the same, or some of them playing the same people on that. Well, be that as it may. All right. There's Frankie that we're listening to croon right now, but that's about it. And we'll get on here with this. So this movie's pretty well known. That was Joan Fontaine, Academy Award winning actress. The special effects by L.B. Abbott, and the gorgeous underwater photography by John Lamb. And of course, produced, directed, and written by, and from a story by, Irwin Allen, the master of disaster. There's our first shot of the wonderful sea view. Such a good looking submarine. And everyone's saying Admiral Harriman's, all these, they're all happy that Admiral Harriman Nelson, played by Walter Pidgeon of Forbidden Planet fame, and many other things. This movie isn't quite as good as that one, but it's quite enjoyable. And we also have Barbara Eden, pre-Genie Barbara Eden, as Lieutenant junior grade Kathy Connors. Joan Fontaine played Dr. Susan Hiller. Peter Lorre played Commodore Lucius Emery. Robert Sterling was Captain Lee Crane. And Michael Ansara, who's wonderful and has that villain voice, as Miguel Alvarez. Frankie Avalon was Lieutenant junior grade Danny Romano, who doesn't really do too much, but probably drew in a couple of kids. So everyone's called this Harriman's Folly, but he's proved him wrong. Smoking a big old cigar in a tin can underwater, and he does it the entire movie. So I just love these gadgets, these futuristic gadgets, and their instrument panels. So there they are at the top of the world. And let's see, the Arctic Ocean. So I should have stayed, even though there's lots. I had to brighten some of these pictures. So there is, yes, that is, it's Floyd the barber, Howard McNear, I believe. Yes, as Congressman Llewellyn Parker, but we all know him as Floyd Lawson on the Andy Griffith Show. And but he's not in it very often. There's Joan, and they're showing the congressman around. I'm assuming that it's a taxpayer-paid sub. Peter Lorre in there petting a shark. Bessie, I believe they call her. And Danger, and they give him these little buttons to wear. If they turn red, you're going to die. Remember what I said yesterday about anything in the first act is going to happen in the third act? But they all wear them, so it's you don't even think about it. There's Red, that's Mark Slade, who was particularly remembered for the role of Billy Blue Cannon on NBC Western The High Chaparral. Yeah, I don't know who, this is grandpa or somebody. And Barbara Eden's swinging to the jazzy sounds of junior grade there, Danny Romano, but her boyfriend, they get interrupted a lot. These are the only two women on the show. It's literally, think of what you will about it being in a submarine, but they're so young. I mean, Joan Fontaine won her Academy Award 20 years prior to this, so she'd been in the business a minute. Oh no, it's ice cubes. And what is this? Cinemagic? Have they gone to the angry red planet? No, but it's the same principle. But something's wrong with the Van Allen belt. So now they have to figure out what's going on. Pick up a man and his little pup. There, that would be Miguel. And off they go to UN headquarters. And Harriman's figuring out what to do himself because he's a genius, and him and Lucius are good friends. See, he's smoking again. There's his old stogie. Oops. And everyone's watching this. The whole planet's on fire, essentially. And there's a nice little effect for the Van Allen radiation belt. All right, and now the captains, there's been a fight because they're jerks. What do they say in the Navy about 100 men going down when they go on a sub? And there's the UN building in New York. There's the UN Security Council or something, and Harriman's saying this is how we have to do it. There's just a big disagreement. He wants to shoot a rocket into the Van Allen belt to save it. And the scientific community says, no, it'll burn. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. It'll burn itself out. And they're watching on a monitor. And I don't know why they didn't just kick this guy off the ship. Well, I do know why. They needed him for later on. But they run out, and these poor guys, they warn them that they're submerging so they don't drown, but off they go. Now they're pirates because they've stolen a nuclear vessel. A nuclear vessel, Captain. And there's Frankie not singing, but his mouth is open. So there's some disagreement between Captain Crane and Admiral Nelson. So the fact that they do that a lot in the television show is, right out of the. Now, in the first season, it works. And apparently, I've not watched all the second season yet, but in the third season and the fourth season, it happens a lot. They turn on each other or get possessed or something. This is one spacious submarine. It's a super sub. And, we do have an issue of Xenorama in the works about super subs. Super special super subs. Okay, I'm done saying super subs. Probably. And another fight breaks out. It's red there because that red hair of his is no lie. Boy, I can even work a Quiet Man reference into this stuff. And they're sure that their plan will work, but they're not. Nobody else. So they have to go out here and look for, the transatlantic pipeline, or transatlantic, not pipeline, but they can't get a hold of anyone because the radiation from the Van Allen, the belt is interrupting communication. So off they go. There's a sawfish that they just brutally kill, and probably a real one. One would hope not, but. And then there's something else, and we will see what that is. See what I mean? Looks like they just killed the poor thing. I'm going to start cheering for the squid here in a moment. It's really hard to get realistic movements with puppets underwater, as you can tell. I mean, kudos for them adding a giant squid in here. Probably using some reverse, having him unwind. This is pretty much all you see of the squid. But look at that gorgeous underwater photography. I mean, I'm sure on the big screen it looked even better. It's really shallow water for a giant squid to get that much light. Architeuthis ducks, don't you know? But they do win and get away, so we don't have to worry about it. The cable's been patched through. I hope ever that came. The cable's been patched through. The divers are back. Kathy runs off to check on Lee. then they patch up this Miguel, taking more notes, discussing what's going on. And they have a heart. She thanks him for rescuing Lee and says, but he thinks it's the end of the world. But he loves that dog. I mean, why would you want your dog to die? But they run into a minefield because, of course, they run into a minefield. There's always minefields. There's if you're in a war movie, there's going to be mines in the ground or in the sea, and you're kind of at a war with the burning of to trying to save the planet, I guess. Once again, the phenomenal underwater photography happens here. They're stuck, or one of them stuck to it, so they ask for 2 volunteers to send out the mini sub. Red and the guy who's drinking, his buddy, his older buddy, go out. You see some really nice miniature shots here. Just they look wonderful. I just can't get over how great they look. They use a laser, but of course that mine hits another mine, which hits another mine and blows up the mini sub. So now Lee's mad at Harriman or Nelson. Crane is mad at Nelson again. And then they find some threatening notes. Someone sabotaged the reason they were in the minefield and couldn't back out was because they'd sabotaged the reactor and the sonar. And she's now, Susan there is telling Lee that the captain is showing signs of too much stress. And then his room catches on fire. They found a cigar stub because, by the way, Lucius there, Peter Lorre, smokes the entire time as well. I haven't mentioned that, honest. But there's gas, so they're really trying to kill everybody. Somebody is, but we don't know who. So there's a spy on board or somebody, a saboteur. But they're getting there. They find a derelict. Everyone's dead. Some of the crew want to go home because they think they're not going to make it and they want to be with their loved ones. So Captain says, if you want to go, take that derelict back to Hawaii. See if you can get back to the States or wherever they're going. Crane doesn't like that either. And there's Frankie there. Really, I mean, he doesn't do a lot. More underwater zooming. There's the countdown clock. And Professor Zucco's burnout point. I forget what they said with who Professor Zucco was. Did they give us a name here? No, not really. There's a lot of people in this movie, but they don't. Anyway, temperature, so it's really warm. 107. Geez, that would be hot. Lucius got bit by Bessie the shark. Remember, also the things in Act 2 show up. And now Crane's going to relieve Harriman of command. But unfortunately, right at that time, smoking that cigar, he's found another supply of cigars. Right at that time, UN submarine shows up and he tells them they fire the missiles or torpedoes, pardon me. It's a really exciting shot here. Right. And Harriman says you have to dive. That sub's not built for the temperatures, the depth this one is. Down they go, down they go. This is in feet, not kilometers yet. But really nice attention to detail here. And of course, the submarine blows up. The UN sub blows up, killing everyone aboard. They won't reply or can't. But now they're trying to fix it. And we have yet another problem showing up. Oops. But I got ahead of myself, so let's go to the next problem. And now that I think about it, our Sparks there has a message for you. Please like, share, subscribe, and leave a comment. If you've watched this far, bless you. We really appreciate it. Now let's see what's menacing the ship at the moment.
Captain, this is sonar. We're picking up something else, real close.
That probably wasn't Sparks.
Follow this step.
A real octopus. Look at the difference in how it moves. Look at that. What a gorgeous creature that is. And at that size, it came from beneath the sea. It was 8 years before this movie. Interesting fact, it came from...
Full emergency power.
Took a page right out of Captain Nemo there, didn't he? Yeah. Interesting fact is that in the second or third or fourth episode of the television show, first season, they used some stock footage of it came from beneath the sea to menace the sea view.
All ahead, fool.
The octopus is gone, and they didn't have to kill it, which I approve of because that rarely happens. Unfortunately, we find out who our saboteur is, Dr. Susan Hiller, and she thinks that Harriman's mad and will kill everyone and blow up the planet by doing his plan. Unfortunately, she's got a lethal dose of radiation and she'll be dead shortly. Crane confronts her. Crane is played by Robert Sterling, who, dang it, cast. Robert Sterling, who is best known for starring in the television series Topper from 53 to 55. It's about the ghosts. Anyway, he confronts her and she starts to explain, but then there's an explosion. Guess who falls into the shark tank with it right there? This tiny little shark that couldn't open its mouth big enough. I do not miss the days when sharks were automatically villains. I mean, granted, they're hungry a lot, but and she gets her. Crane gets knocked out because hits his head, and she's dead. I mean, she was gonna die. The shark probably died from eating radioactive food, but at least it was warm. And now Miguel goes cuckoo. And really, I can't say enough about Michael Ansara. He's played in so many things. He was cast in Native American roles and Arabic roles, and just could do anything, and he did. So he was a Syrian American actor, but he has that voice. Oh my gosh, he could have been a great anti-hero, I think. Wouldn't he have been a good Submariner? That's Prince Namor right there. Once Johnny the Human Torch shaves off that facial hair. But he's got a big old pineapple there to blow everyone up if they launch the rocket, they'll blow it up. And they have a tense standoff here. And everyone in the movie plays their roles really well. I mean, it's not the most serious movie, but they take it seriously and they make it work. Irwin Allen's direction is great. The script, it's a little long. It runs approximately 105 minutes. The budget was $1.5 million. It made $7 million in the U.S. and Canada alone, so it was a big hit. It doesn't surprise me that it was actually turned into a TV show because they had this great model. I mean, it took 4 years to do it, but that's all right. 3 years. So they surface, and Lee's out there. They get and trying to open up and get the missile launched because they figure, what the heck? There's our time frame. It's really, once again, an exciting and well-edited sequence. And when the rocket goes up, this is Frankie's big moment. He tackles Miguel and saves the day. Harriman's got the coconut or the pineapple, I guess. And they open it up, and Lee's still alive, though everyone rushes out. And the Van Allen belt is saved. And we did it. And that's it. That is the end of the movie. So we'll have the trailer here at the end for you all. I do appreciate it. I really enjoyed this movie. I've seen it a couple times. I was surprised as a younger man to find out that it was based on a television series that came after the movie. I shouldn't have been by then, but yeah. So until our next assignment, my fellow agents, thank you for viewing, and I'll be seeing you.
Come with me. Come with me on a voyage to the bottom of the sea.